My name is Jill. I'm lying in this hospital bed, staring blankly at the ceiling, trying to process what just happened. A detective named Mr. Thompson from the Financial Crimes Division is standing beside me, his face solemn as he delivers the devastating news. Miss Jill, your account flagged an unauthorized large transfer of $31,000 while you were in surgery. We've already started freezing the destination account. I close my eyes, not just because of the throbbing pain in my back from the spinal surgery. The realization hits me hard. The money I've been saving since I was 16, every summer job, every birthday gift, every extra hour at the local diner where I worked through high school, all gone in a flash. Let me take you back to how it all began. I come from a middle-class family. My mother, Linda, is a talkative and seemingly caring woman, always full of hugs and kind words. My father, David, is more of a quiet man. He's the type who expresses his love through small gestures rather than big speeches. I started saving money with a dream. I wanted to go to college, get a degree, and build a life of my own. Over the years, I've been extremely disciplined. I'd say no to new clothes, going out with friends to expensive places, also I could put that money into my college fund. By the time I was 22, I had saved up $31,000. The account was in my name, but when I was a minor, my mother had co-signed it. I never thought to remove her name. She was my mother, and I believed that she would never do anything to harm my future. 3 weeks before my surgery, my grandmother, Rose, called me. She's 75 years old and has a very no-nonsense way of speaking. When I went to her house, she had a pot of mint tea waiting for me, and she looked at me with a serious expression. Jill, she said without any preamble, before you go under anesthesia, we need to make sure your money is safe from your mother. I was shocked. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Grandma, she would never do that. She loves me, I replied, trying to defend my mother. Rose looked at me with a patient gaze that only someone with years of life experience could have. Jill, I've known your mother since she was a little girl. I know what she's capable of when she thinks she can get away with something. Reluctantly, I agreed to listen to her. We spent the whole afternoon on the phone with my bank. Grandma Rose sat beside me, her reading glasses on, taking notes as I spoke with a bank representative. We removed my mother's name from the account completely. We set up a dual alert system so that any transaction over $500 would send a notification to both my phone and my grandmother's. And we activated a large transfer freeze that required my personal authentication code. As I drove home that evening, I kept telling myself that it was just a precaution. I didn't really believe that my mother would steal my money. I thought I was doing it just to give my grandmother peace of mind. The night before my surgery, my parents came over to help me pack my hospital bag. My mother folded my clothes neatly and reminded me to bring my toiletries. My father sat in the corner, reading the newspaper. It was a normal, warm-feeling evening. I hugged them both at the door, feeling grateful to have such loving parents. My surgery was scheduled for a Wednesday morning. I was told it would take about 5 hours, and I'd be unconscious the whole time. The anesthesiologist asked me to count backward from 10, and by the time I reached 7, I was out. What I didn't know at that time was that at around 10:45 that morning, while the surgeons were working on my spine and I was completely vulnerable, my mother sent a text message to my father. Do it now while she can't check. In a matter of minutes, $31,000 was transferred from my college fund to a joint account my sister, Emily, had with my mother. Emily, who was always a bit naive, was completely unaware of what was happening. But thanks to the dual alert system my grandmother insisted on, my phone on the recovery room tray table lit up before I even regained consciousness. A nurse named Sarah was nearby. She saw the notification and immediately called the fraud line. When I opened my eyes, Mr. Thompson was there. I asked him, my voice dry and hoarse, how much did they take? He told me the amount, and my heart sank. I realized that Grandma Rose had been right. She had seen this coming, while I was blind to my mother's true nature. Within an hour, Grandma Rose arrived at the hospital. She had already made 3 important phone calls. One to her lawyer, Ms. Harris, a sharp-witted woman who specialized in financial fraud cases, and one directly to my bank's legal department. Ms. Harris arrived within 2 hours. She was all business, cutting straight to the point. The freeze on Emily's joint account had been triggered as soon as Mr. Thompson filed his preliminary report. Thanks to the digital records we had, including the time-stamped transfer attempt and the screenshot of my mother's text message to my father, we had strong evidence. My parents arrived at the hospital around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. When my mother saw me, she first showed relief, but then confusion crossed her face when she felt the tense atmosphere in the room. When she noticed Ms. Harris standing near the window with a file in her hand, her expression turned cold and calculating. My father stopped in his tracks, looking as if he had just realized the gravity of what they had done. My mother called my name, but I didn't respond. Ms. Harris introduced herself and told them that they were being formally investigated for financial fraud. The transferred funds were frozen, and they were prohibited from contacting me, the bank, or Emily until the investigation was over. My mother tried to speak a couple of times but stopped. My father sat down on a chair near the door, burying his face in his hands. I watched them from my bed, feeling a deep, hollow sadness. Even though I knew what they had done, a part of me still remembered the way my mother had hugged me and told me she loved me the night before. I couldn't understand how she could be so loving one moment and so deceitful the next. The money was returned in full within 20 days. The bank's fraud department, combined with Ms. Harris's legal expertise, worked faster than I expected. I decided not to press criminal charges against my parents because Ms. Harris advised that a civil resolution would get my money back more quickly. It was a practical decision, but it cost me emotionally. Emily and I haven't talked much since then, but I believe she had no idea about the transfer. She was just an innocent pawn in my mother's scheme. Grandma Rose never said, "I told you so." She just continued to support me, and I knew that she did it out of love. 4 months later, I enrolled in college, and I'm now studying financial law. This experience has taught me that the world is complicated, and the people closest to us aren't always the ones we can trust. But it has also shown me that one person's foresight and quiet action can change everything. For me, that person was my 75-year-old grandmother in her warm woolen coat, who made the best mint tea and protected me from the danger I couldn't see.